we're going to do acting activity list. Now this is, again, this is an original list. This is something that is spectacular for you to be able to include these things in your acting, which is key because you want to be able to achieve a lot. A lot of your talent needs to come out, and it can do that through the act of doing. All right, let's get to the list. All right, now in the description box, there is all these links, and this is, it's good. Use that if you would. Okay, so first one is acting activity is making a dress pattern. There is an instant download, and it's great. You can make your own dress pattern. I use these color tint glasses because dyslexia, but I also think anybody can use these. I know people that are not dyslexic that actually use color tint glasses to read longer. And there's polarized ones and non-polarized. And that's in the emotional preparation store. Acting activity store. But these links are often different, which is fine. As long as it helps you guys out, it's good. So, the next one is sewing hand stuffed animal. There is how to sew by hand stuffed animals in the link. How to build or customize your own historic costume, which is very specific. Now it might be you add that it's for a prop or it's something that you want to be able to do for some specific reason. Obviously, add your reason, your meaning, your emotional preparation, all that. All right, next one is making a wood flute. Great, how to make your own wood flute. The next acting activity is glazing a watercolor painting. Now that is a very specific task. You want to be able to learn how to be able to glaze it. There is a way to be able to glaze watercolors, and it's a little tricky. You might need epoxy. You could use glass with epoxy. You've got to set up some stuff to be able to do it. But it's a cool activity. So it's mastering glazing techniques in watercolor. All right, teach yourself how to read music. Now, if there is a specific song you need to be able to get, or the specific section of a book, you could use the book, learn how to be able to read music in 30 days. It's an instant download. All right, make algorithmic art, which is a thing. It's actually a thing. It's a big book of algorithm art. It's everything has to line up. It's like a mandala, which is but this is algorithmic art. Next one is acting activity is hand make skin products. Interesting. It's an instant download in the description box. Make your own makeup. There is a makeup essential guide to DIY makeup link. Making your own body butter. It's another activity that would be okay to do if you put it with the back end story and all that other stuff. Preparing sourdough. Sourdough can be difficult, but you might need to bring like 3 or 4 of them, not just one, because you might be able to get it done in like 5 minutes. So you want to be able to plan for that. Now, upcycling a wood pallet. That's an interesting one. There is 35 rustic ideas. Wood pallet projects, instant download. At the current time, it's an instant link, instant download, and it is free, but I don't know if it will be when you click it. So, all right, the next one is acting activity is building a poor man's guitar. Now, the poor man's guitar is this. You make a poor man's guitar, and some of them that are there also it's a cigar box guitars too, which are really cool. They're cool, and they're excellent gifts. You could do something creative with acting with that item, definitely. Hey, listen, I've done something incredible. It's absolutely fantastic. I have done something it's a list. It's a list of an acting activities list. Now, this acting activities list is for 110 classes. It's organized so that you can pick one of the selections of, usually between 7 and different 8 maybe 8 different activities, and then you can choose that, and then you can find your motivated activities. So you can use this list and work anywhere. You can put this stuff in films, do all kinds of stuff, because you want to be able to incorporate acting activities into your acting. All right, build industrial pipe furniture, DIY industrial pipe furniture and decor. It's interesting now, you might need to have a metal saw to be able to saw the pipe, to be able to put everything together, and that would be something that might be a half an hour, maybe 90-minute, 2-hour project. And you could use that good for rehearsals. Now, make your own finger piano. There is this thing called carlimbas, or finger pianos, that you can do, and there is a separate activity on another one of my lists that is actually you can do little tunes on the finger piano. It's kind of clever, it's interesting, but you can make your own actual musical instrument, which is dynamite. Now next is how to make homemade yogurt, and there is a DIY homemade yogurt for beginners that is easy, instant download. Next one is so the acting activity, right, which you're going to put with meaning, measurability, urgency, all of these things. Urgency, you're going to work with every single component of your work. And then put deep emotional preparation when you're working with deep emotional preparation, and get motivation. Motivation is absolutely key. So pick one of these that are absolutely motivating. And you can make your own shampoo. Right now, prices have gone up with all these things, with different stores and supply differences with everything. Maybe so that you want to be able to make your own shampoo because you want to be able to be more economic. Great. And then work on that as an activity, and then add another backstory to it. All right. Next is the next acting activity is making body butter. It's great. It's a good activity. It's also an instant download in the description box. Now, the next one is specific, even interesting. It is building a walking stick. Now, there is a step-by-step of how to craft canes and staffs in the description box, which is excellent. Excellent one. Now, making homemade lip balm. There's 32 quick recipes for beginners in the link in the description box. And spinning your own yarn with listen to what I'm saying, high whirl. So there's a yarn, I'm not saying whirled, I'm saying spin your own yarn with high whirl. WHORL. Now that's interesting. There's an instant download to it. It is spinning the old way. There is an old-fashioned way, or one of the old-fashioned ways, where you can spin yarn. And it's a little tedious, but some people might like it, and choose that as a motivated activity for them to do. Okay, again, this was a shorter list, but it's still a good list. We are doing spiritual cleansing ritual. Now there is a sage sponging kit. So if you know anything about spirituality, or have some kind of belief about ergonomics, or the spiritual ergonomics, which is a good title for a book. It's basically you're in a situation where you're cleansing. There's a book. There's a sage cleansing kit, and it's this almost like a ritual, but it doesn't have to be necessarily weird. It can just be you're cleaning the space and trying to start fresh and start your own, start fresh in the space. And this is the way I would use it. I would say you would do an emotional preparation on a terrible experience. Let's say you had a bad dream that somebody put you unconscious and did some weird thing to you. I don't know. I mean, that's obviously an imaginary circumstance. It would never happen in life. So the reality to this is that you would know that this is something that's a terrible dream, but you're able to really get into that imaginary daydream, right? And then you work with that construct, and then you like, I don't know, maybe you can add to that and say the result of the unconscious backstory you have, if this is realistic for you to believe and you read enough science fiction movies or books or films, maybe it's something that you can prepare on, right? And then you put your emotion with it, how terrified you are, and then you basically come from that bad experience, and you add to that the fact that you have an artificial insemination child from that basically unconscious daydream, right? Or the unconscious imagination, right? This is an imaginary circumstance that you've dived into. And let's say that's something that's realistic for you to be able to believe, or you're talented enough to be able to believe something like that because you've engulfed yourself enough in those kinds of ideas or backstories you're able to be able to do. And these are castable items that people actually go into, right? So let's say you do that. And then you come to that emotional preparation, and your emotional preparation is essentially that. Now, this isn't for everyone. This is only for some people, right? So basically, you would work, and then that imaginary circumstance would activate. You've got the emotion there. All of a sudden, and then you go and you start to clean the area. You use the sponge cleaning kit, the sage smudging kit to be able to clean your area so you can try and start your life fresh and be able to be good. Now that would make logical sense. It would make logical sense. Is it a daydream? Is it something that's imaginary? It would never happen in life, right? Of course it wouldn't, right? So if it would, then I'm sure people would find out about it. And the reality is that would be something that you could maybe do. Now you could use another example. Let's say another example would be you come from a terrible, terrible breakup from somebody. And you want to be able to, and you have a terrible breakup, and this is maybe more, maybe more irregular, right? Irregular circumstances. And then you never want to be able to see the person again, so you clean up all their clothes that you have in your apartment or space, and you put those outside at the door, and then you finish off your activity of putting the sage smudge kit around. Now, if I were you, I would set this up where you don't know, or you do know, but you set this up for all of a sudden your boyfriend or your girlfriend shows up at your door while you're doing this smudging kit thing to try and get them out of your life. That would be a good scene. That would be a good acting scene. You see, whether we're going down the road of imaginary things that would never exist in life, right? Or whether we're doing something that, again, would be an imaginary thing, maybe you'd never have a breakup. Or you don't think that you've ever would go and experience that. And that might be tough for you. So you want to be able to work with this and be able to do. All right, the next one here is you can do Tai Chi or Qigong. Qigong, Tai Chi. Tai Chi for Beginner DVD set is in the link. Now, do cupping therapy for yourself. There is a thing you could do, and there is a modern cupping complete source set stuff that's in the link. Now, cupping is actually this thing that you can do not that you can do, but basically, how do I say this? Figure out the art of cupping. It's supposed to be health technique. There's a lot to it though. So it's just kind of like, another thing is tapping therapies. Sometimes it gets interesting because some of it's medicinal, some of it's not medicinal. That would be something that you could do. Sometimes that will, trauma victims would be able to do tapping or cupping therapy. So if you're like really upset, you can get yourself really upset with an emotional preparation, then it would make sense that you would do something that would be able to counter that as an activity. Okay, so that's why it's logical. It makes sense. It's a good reason, right? Obviously add a reason, but don't get caught in your logic, but make sure that the reason makes sense, Right. So we are now at make a steam engine, electricity, steam power generator. Is actually, there's a steam power generator. It's not too pricey, and it's in the description box. Now the next one is cool. It's cool. You can do your own string art. Now it's a kit, an owl string art, and it comes with different colors, and you put the pins in the different areas, and then you can make your own string owl with the different colors of designs, right? You can make your own. Now, we got just a few more. It's build your own yacht. Incredible mechanical yacht build. It's cool. It's a cool one. Construct your this really cool sports car. There is a really cool sports car in that description link. It is a turbo model. Wow. Now, build a free library box. Now, this is something I would encourage. I think that this is interesting. You can build your own free library box, and you put it out on your curb, and then you can share books with anybody, like anybody, right? Anybody can drop books off, anybody can take books out, and you can just, or materials, right? And you've got this library box, and you can never know who's coming or going and what book's going to show up in your library, in your free library. It's a lot of fun, and there's a great description link in the thing. So it's good. It's really good. Airbrushing is another thing you can do. There is an airbrushing set. Now, the airbrushing you can use in many different activities. It is an activity that you might want to get the tools of, and then be able to use that in your acting, in your acting training, in your acting career, as something that you have in your actor's plethora of something that you have as a tool you can use. The other one is in the emotionalpreparation.com shop, the actor's store, activity store. There is this incredible thing that is a backlit board. The backlit board, you can do all kinds of activities with. You can draw, you can trace, you can learn calligraphy, you can do all sorts of you can put architecture maps over top, backlit them. You can use it for x-rays, you can, all kinds of things. And that board is great, and you can use it over and over and include it as different activities. So it's great. You might want to use it. These backlit boards, now, similar to what's been used for colorists in cartooning and for sketch artists, for policing sketch artists, all kinds of things. They use that backlit surface. If they need to, they sometimes don't. But you can also use tinted glasses to be able to change the contrast, right? And this is why the tinting glasses actually work for reading. Any reader, you don't have to be dyslexic. Any reader can often find their own favorite color of tint, and then that can actually be able to expand what they're working on and improve their reading, and they can read longer and sharper. So if you would boop that like button if you want to, and share this video with others, and it would be great. And listen, thanks, it's been a lot of fun, and until next time. So there's this item that's pertinent. It matters a lot, because dropping your acting baggage is a topic that, well, let's say it this way. A lot of times this surprises actors, and they think, oh my goodness, how did this happen? They never thought that they could have such a thing happen. Look, baggage in acting. What is acting baggage? Acting baggage is actually when you have done whatever kind of emotional work that you've done, and you have leftover remnants of emotion from your acting exercise experience. So all of a sudden, something in your acting world, or your imaginary world, or your imaginary circumstance, it literally has activated something in you, and you still have this baggage left over. Maybe you have a memory that came to you during the acting exercise, just a flash happened. All of a sudden, you just felt some wave of energy come over you, and you're in the middle of the acting exercise, and
somebody's yelling at you, or somebody's in an argument, or there's something nice happening, and all of a sudden there's just something that's triggered. And it's just, this thing is triggered in you, right? And you go and you do the acting exercise, and you're working back and forth, and there's interaction happening. And then the acting exercise ends. And then you just feel like there's this thing, there's this weight that's left over. This is called acting baggage. It is the absolute normal thing to go through when you're actually working with emotions and acting. And one of the very old, I wouldn't say old, probably, but basically it is an old secret where if you want to be able to do acting and you want to be able to do directing, sometimes you'll use a different color of tint. So what you will do is directors will use this to be able to not only read a little bit longer or a lot longer, depends on if they can get the right color and all that, but then you can work with this to be able to direct your films. So you're looking at your angles, you're looking at the different colors of light, and you're doing that to be able to improve your directing.